Hello, my name is Emily, and if you're new here, hi, and if not, then welcome back. Today I'm going to do my first ever favorites video. I know I'm a little behind, but this is going to be my May favorites. Some of the stuff didn't necessarily come out in May, but it's just stuff that's noteworthy to me that I've been using a lot during the month of May. For these videos, they're going to be stuff that's mostly makeup, but I do want to include some other favorite stuff that isn't makeup. So my first favorite is the podcast cereal. And I know a lot of people are like sponsored by stuff like this, but this is not sponsored. I listen to podcasts a ton. I live in Portland. Traffic is really bad here. To kind of stay sane whenever I'm in the car, I listen to podcasts because sometimes music can just not really help, but if I'm listening to a podcast, it kind of keeps my mind entwined in that opposed to just kind of listening to music, and it gives me something to focus on other than sitting in traffic for an hour and a half. And I know actually a lot of people really like this podcast. I had mentioned it on Snapchat a little bit and I talked to some of you about it, but I finished the first season, which is about a murder that happened a little while back between a guy and his girlfriend, and they basically just go over all the facts and do a really thorough investigation. It's kind of like investigative journalism. And then I am midway on the second season now, which is about a guy that got captured by the Taliban. But it's really interesting. I suggest that if you live in a big city like me and you're sitting in traffic all the time, I suggest you listen to a podcast or a book or something like that. It actually helps pass the time a ton. So my next favorite is gonna kind of like lead into a segue on to all of the makeup, but a next favorite is Anastasia Beverly Hills. I got featured on their page on Instagram, which was like a huge thing for me. Just to be like sort of recognized by her is such an honor. So excited. Look, here I am. That just made me so happy. So something I feel like I've been talking about a ton is this Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer in 0.5. And I've been talking about this a lot because it's really helped my brows. Looking back, even to like 2 months ago, my brows are struggling. But now they look pretty good almost always. And it is because of this concealer. This concealer is so incredibly thick. It will clean up your brow and make it look really sharp, and it's insanely pigmented. I'm fairly sure that this is pretty much for the use on brows, not for under eyes or anything like that. It would be way too heavy. But as you can see, I've been using this pretty much solid on my brows every time I do my makeup for like a month and a half, and I barely dip into it at all. My next thing is the Laura Geller Cover Lock Foundation. I got this a while back. I think I got this foundation sometime in January, and I mixed the first 2 shades. And I had used it, but I didn't really think, I thought it was okay. But then anytime I would use it on Instagram or wear it out, I would get so many compliments. More compliments than I've ever gotten on how good my skin looked and how good my foundation looked. And it was always this. Anytime I'm ever complimented on my skin, it's because of this foundation. Foundation is so full coverage, and it doesn't pick up on any dry patches, and it sets so well for me with just like a little bit of regular powder. I'm actually wearing it today. I did a get ready with me with this look, but this foundation is super full coverage and you don't really need that much. This is starting to be one of my definitely go-to foundations. Most of the time my go-to foundations are drugstore. I use a ton of drugstore foundation, but this is one of my favorite high-end ones. So my next favorite is these Hypnotic lashes in Hardcore, and they're actually the ones I'm wearing today. I almost only wear Huda Beauty lashes. I tried these ones and I have been. The band on these is so flexible. If you're someone that isn't, you know, super good at putting on lashes, or you have always a really hard time with the band, these are definitely something that you can easily work with. These ones in Hardcore are really thick and long. Obviously they're very fluffy. Obviously these ones don't look like natural looking or anything like that, but a lot of the time when you have fluffy thick lashes, it also has a really thick band, and these do not. If you are someone that loves big thick lashes but you don't want the thick band, I definitely recommend Hypnotic lashes. My next favorite is this Give Me Glow highlighter in Slay Me. This one is a marbled highlighter, rose gold type of one with some gold and white specks in with it that makes about this light gold color, and I love it. I grabbed this one when I was on their site because this one was a discounted one, and I only think it was like $12. I've been using this one a ton. It works even on my pale skin for being gold, which I love that because it's so hard to find a gold that you can wear with pale skin. But also I feel like this one would still work on someone with medium to dark skin. It's just really versatile. And I'm really liking that if I want it to be a little bit lighter or more white one day, I can kind of go in this section with a little bit more white, or if I want it more gold, I can do the gold right here. Again, I know I've mentioned this one already, but I definitely recommend checking out Give Me Glow. Next is this eyeliner from Tattoo Junkie. This is a felt tip eyeliner, and this is a great drugstore eyeliner. You don't really find, in my opinion, a lot of good felt tip liners at the drugstore. This one comes in a pack with the white one. The white one is iffy. It's really hard to make a white eyeliner really opaque, but it comes in a pack with a white one, but this black one is really the good one in the pack. I've used this one quite a bit, and the tip is not balling up or anything weird like that. The formula is staying very opaque, not watery, and it's not spreading. Another eye product I've been using a ton is this Bold and Bad mascara from MAC. I believe this launches in just a couple days. It has two compartments. The first one for your upper lashes right here, as well as I've really liked this mascara. It hasn't smudged and it hasn't crumbled at all, which I don't put on a lot of mascara. It's even weird for me talking about a mascara because normally I don't really care, but the top lash wand is big enough that it makes it super easy to coat my top lashes to prepare for falsies. But the really cool thing about it is it has this tiny little brush at the top right here for your lower lashes, so you can really get in there without accidentally touching those little spots with the big wand on your lower lash line. As well as the packaging on this is awesome. Like this is all in velvet. It is very cool. And then last item is this bronzer from Glamour Dolls. For one, this thing is literally massive. I'm gonna compare it. It seems, I mean, obviously it looks really big on its own. Let me compare it to a Jeffree Star one. It is even bigger than that. And this is the bronzer I have been using. It's really hard to find a bronzer that isn't too orange, and I feel like this one works perfect on my skin. The formula as well is really soft. I'm trying to swatch it. It's hard to swatch bronzers, but here it is. But it's really soft and it blends really easily. As well, it's the perfect like in-between bronzy color without being too orange or just like a contour shade, which would be a little bit more on the cooler side. So I'm pretty sure that I completely forgot to name this series in the beginning, and I don't really know what to name it. I feel like I am so late starting doing these that everything is probably taken. So I'm gonna go with what my instinct would tell me and go with yay or nay. Just because I feel like I say yay a lot, and I feel like the opposite of that is like nay. I haven't like specifically seen anyone else have that. They probably do. That's just what I'm gonna go with right now. So those were the yays. So now let's get on to the nays. The first thing I'm going to talk about is this Milk Makeup Blur Stick. I got this in my Sephora Play Box and I tried it a couple of times and I just could not see it make a bit of difference with my makeup. I would say that this makes your bare skin look different. However, as a primer for makeup, I don't see any difference at all. I didn't see any longevity. I didn't see any extra smoothness. And I also didn't feel like this did anything extraordinary that any other primer wouldn't do. In fact, I have the Milk Makeup Cooling Water, and I feel like this did the exact same thing as that. I use the cooling water as a primer often, more because it's just part of my skincare. I will put a moisturizer on and I'll put that on, and then later I'll put on my makeup. But I feel like the blur stick and the cooling water do the exact same thing. Next, you guys probably already see it coming, but this is the Eevee blender. Have not touched this thing since I reviewed it, and in fact, it is stickier than ever. It's as if it got stickier by just sitting there. If you didn't watch my full review of this in general, it didn't really help me save that much product. It also didn't blend my makeup super well. It did the job kind of, but it took so much longer and it took so much more effort and it was more expensive than a beauty blender, and I am just so not about it. Next is this Hard Candy blush thingy duo. I'm not exactly sure what the exact name of this. This is Over the Moon though. So you guys know that I don't wear blush, right? However, I wanted to give it a try. These looked like pretty colors that could just be a very faint wash. They are so shiny. They're almost like highlighters. They have a ton of sheen to them. So when I put them like on the apples of my cheeks, it just looked like I had put a super colored highlighter like on the apples of my cheeks, and I had to go over with a bunch of powder to try to blend that away. My highlight and then just a little bit of blush on. It looked weird because I had this, you know, like icy type of highlight on, pinky or orange type of, you know, like kind of ball right here. It just wasn't a good look in my opinion. So that is all of my monthly favorites and things that I didn't really like. Let me know if you guys like these videos. I really like watching these type of videos, but I don't know, you know, sometimes there goes through trends and stuff, you know, where things are really popular and other things aren't. So let me know if you guys want me to do this every month or just do it every like, you know, 2 to 3 months, you know, just kind of like seasonal favorites. Now that I've kind of gotten stuff out that I've been using for the past little while, I can focus on newer released stuff for monthly favorites if I get it. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. So I hope you guys enjoy, and hopefully I will see you guys next time.